On Thanksgiving, my in-laws told everyone I faked my depression for attention. My brother-in-law clinked his glass and said, "Guess the pills didn't work." Shame. I stood up, looked at each face, and said, "You just made the last meal you'll ever have with me." That night, I sent out one video. The group chat hasn't been the same since. Thanksgiving used to mean something different to me. When I was a kid, it was one of the few days where everything slowed down. My dad would get up early to make coffee and cinnamon rolls from a can. My mom would hum while she chopped vegetables for stuffing. We were far from perfect, we had money problems, and there were hard years, but we sat at the table and we talked. Even when things were bad, we sat together. There was love. That's probably why it hurt so much when I realized the family I married into didn't actually care if I lived or died. I met Nathan when I was 25. We'd both just started our second real jobs. He was smart, patient, and quiet, which I liked. I had been through a rough few years, depression, anxiety, panic attacks that came out of nowhere and left me shaking in public bathrooms or curled up in my closet. I was finally in therapy, learning to speak up, to tell the truth about how hard it all was. Nathan listened. Or at least I thought he did. We dated for 3 years before getting married. His family was polite to me at first, but distant. His mom, Sharon, ran things. Everything had to go through her. Holiday plans, baby showers, gift exchanges, she was the hub. She made it clear that she expected daughters-in-law to blend in, not disrupt. I didn't realize at first that disrupt meant have feelings. It got worse after I got married. I had a hard winter that first year, seasonal depression, work burnout, and I started a new medication. I was honest about it. Maybe too honest. I told Sharon one night, after dinner, when she asked why I looked so tired. I said I was adjusting to antidepressants and trying to get back on track. She blinked, then gave this tight little smile. Well, I never had time to be depressed. Too many mouths to feed. Then she changed the subject. From then on, I noticed the tone shift. She started bringing up how strong women in her generation were. How today's women just need a spa day and a journal. Once, during a group dinner, I mentioned going to therapy and Greg, Nathan's older brother, snorted and said, "Wow, the self-care generation really needs a manual to function." Nathan never said anything. When I asked him later if it bothered him, he shrugged. They're old school. Don't take it personally. But I did. Because every time I opened up, I got punished. With silence, with judgment, with backhanded comments about needing too much or being too fragile. One time, I left a family brunch early because I was having a panic attack. My hands were shaking so badly I couldn't hold my coffee. Sharon told Nathan later that she was worried I might be exaggerating to avoid helping with dishes. Another time, Callie, the youngest sibling, sent me a meme in our group chat. It was a woman fake crying with the caption, "When you're depressed but still want everyone to ask how you are." No one said anything. No one thought it was out of line. I didn't respond. I just muted the chat. Then came Thanksgiving last year. Nathan wanted to go. I didn't. I had been doing better, steadier in therapy, on new meds that helped me sleep, journaling more, but being around his family always knocked me off balance. Still, I went. I thought maybe it'd be okay. I told myself I'd eat quietly, keep my head down, and get through it. Sharon's house was like a magazine. Everything matching. Candles lit. Kids dressed in little fall outfits. Greg and Callie were already drinking wine. Nathan was on his phone. I helped set the table. Smiled when people walked in. Pretended. Dinner started normal. I tried to enjoy the mashed potatoes and ignore the ache in my chest that always showed up around them. Then, halfway through the meal, Greg clinked his wine glass. He said, "Can I say something?" and smiled like he was about to give a toast. Everyone turned to look. He raised his glass in my direction. "Just wanted to say, glad to see you made it. Guess the pills didn't work." Shame. It was silent for maybe half a second. Then I heard a laugh. Sharon. Then Callie. Nathan gave a soft chuckle, looked down at his plate like he didn't know what to do. I couldn't move. My stomach dropped. Greg leaned back in his chair. Kidding, of course. We're just glad you're still here. Strong girl. No one said anything else. No one checked on me. No one asked if I was okay. I sat there frozen, staring at my food, which suddenly looked like it belonged on another planet. My hands were shaking. My throat felt tight. After a few seconds, I stood up. Quietly. Pushed my chair in. Looked around the table at every face. Sharon, smug behind her wine glass. Greg, still grinning. Callie pretending to be on her phone. Nathan, who couldn't even meet my eyes. I said, very quietly, "This is the last meal you'll ever have with me." Then I left. Got in the car. Drove home in silence. Nathan didn't follow. He came back around midnight, smelled like wine, and didn't ask me how I was. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the kitchen table and opened my laptop. A few weeks earlier, my therapist had asked me to film a video, something private, something honest. To talk about the things I couldn't say out loud. I had recorded it, thinking I'd delete it later. In the video, I talked about how I used to sit in my parked car at lunch breaks, shaking and crying. How I once planned out a suicide note and then ripped it up. How Nathan never noticed when I spent days not eating, not speaking, just floating through our apartment like a ghost. I talked about how invisible I felt. How every time I tried to speak, I was told I was too much. How that Thanksgiving was the first time I truly understood that I didn't have a place in their world. At the end of the video, I said, "If you're watching this, that means you laughed at me. Now you know what you were laughing at." I sent it to the family group chat. No caption. No explanation. I turned my phone off after that. The next morning, I turned it back on. Silence. The group chat was dead. No one replied. No apologies. No defenses. 2 days later, Callie left the chat. A week later, Sharon sent a long message about how humor is a coping mechanism and how no one meant to hurt me. Nathan said nothing. That was 8 months ago. I haven't seen them since. Nathan and I sleep in separate rooms now. I've started saving money in a separate account. I started hiking again, and I joined a small online group for women like me, ones who've been treated like jokes by the people who were supposed to love them. I'm not done. There's more to tell. And if they thought that video was the end of it, they don't know me at all. After I sent the video and got silence, I expected maybe someone would reach out privately. Maybe Nathan would sit down and say, "I didn't know. I'm sorry. Let's talk." But that didn't happen. Instead, he became cold. Quiet, but not in the gentle way he used to be. Just absent. He would come home from work, eat dinner without a word, and scroll through his phone for hours. We barely spoke. When I brought up the video one night, he didn't even look up. "It was dramatic," he said flatly. "You made a scene." A scene. That word stuck in my chest like glass. "I told the truth," I said. My voice didn't even sound like mine. "You laughed when your brother mocked my depression." He shrugged. "It was a joke." I went back to sleeping in the guest room after that. 2 weeks later, Sharon emailed me. Not texted, emailed. She said she was concerned about the tone I was taking with the family. She said I had shamed people who were only trying to include me. She ended the message with, "I hope you find peace and forgiveness during this healing season." Healing season. It was December. I didn't respond. But I started writing things down. Saving messages. Documenting the way they treated me. Not just for legal reasons, but because I needed to remember that I wasn't crazy. That it really happened. The gaslighting was subtle, constant small suggestions that I was overreacting, too sensitive, taking things the wrong way. Then, in January, I found out something that shook me. I was cleaning out Nathan's side of the closet when I found a notebook. I wasn't looking for anything, I was trying to make space. But inside the back cover was a list written in his handwriting. It had dates. Notes. One line said, "Talk to Greg, intervention?" Another said, "Therapy faking?" I stood there holding it, trying to breathe. He had been tracking me. Or at least doubting me. Planning something with his family. Trying to figure out if I was faking mental illness. I took a photo of the page and put it back. That night, I didn't confront him. I didn't have the energy. Instead, I dug deeper. I went through our shared laptop. He never cleared his browser history. There it was, searches for, can a spouse fake depression for attention, and legal rights if spouse is mentally unstable. That's when I understood something clearly, they weren't just laughing at me. They were trying to discredit me. They wanted to paint me as unstable so if I ever snapped back, no one would believe me. In February, Nathan's sister Callie posted a mental health awareness story on her Instagram. It was full of pastel quotes about anxiety and healing. I almost threw my phone. This is the same woman who sent me that meme. The same one who laughed at me. 2 days after her post, she texted me out of nowhere, "Hope you're doing better. No hard feelings?" I didn't reply. Instead, I screen recorded it. I started keeping everything. Meanwhile, Nathan began talking about space. He said maybe we should take a break. I told him I wasn't leaving the apartment, I paid half the rent, and I had nowhere to go. He didn't argue. He just stopped coming home some nights. By March, I knew he was staying at Greg's. It was the silence that really killed me. No one yelling, no dramatic fights, just a slow erasure. Like I didn't exist. Like the last few years were just a phase I was expected to outgrow. But I wasn't outgrowing anything. I was waking up. I got a lawyer in April. Not for divorce yet, I wasn't ready, but I wanted to understand my rights. How much of the apartment I was entitled to. What to do if he tried to claim I was unstable. The lawyer was calm, professional, and blunt. She told me to keep records. She told me not to move out. She told me I wasn't crazy. I cried in her office. Not because I was sad. But because it was the first time in months someone spoke to me like I was a person. Things kept escalating after that. In May, Sharon called Nathan's phone while he was in the shower. It was on speaker. I didn't mean to hear it, but I froze when I heard my name. "She's playing the victim," Sharon said. "Don't let her take everything. Start gathering proof now, in case she tries to go public." Nathan mumbled something. I didn't catch it. But I stood in the hallway and felt something inside me go quiet. They weren't just being cruel anymore. They were planning something. That night, I emailed myself everything, screenshots, voice memos, photos of his notebook. I saved copies to an encrypted drive. I started journaling in detail, times, dates, quotes. I wrote like a reporter documenting abuse. Then I started sharing my story online, anonymously, at first. I joined a few forums. Posted small pieces. No names, no identifying details. The responses were overwhelming. Women who had been through the same thing. Women whose husbands had called them unstable just for having emotions. Women who were told their trauma was inconvenient. For the first time in years, I didn't feel alone. And I began to realize that what happened at Thanksgiving was just the final crack in something that had been broken for a long time. I'm still here. Still in the apartment. Still quiet on the outside. But I'm not silent anymore. They thought I was weak. They thought I was done. They're not ready for what comes next. In June, I finally told someone in my own family. My older cousin Lena and I hadn't been close for years. We used to spend summers together at our grandparents' house, but life pulled us apart. She reached out after she saw one of my anonymous posts on a mental health forum. She didn't know it was me at first, but something in the writing reminded her of what I used to journal as a teenager. She messaged the account and asked, "Is this you?" I stared at her message for a full hour before replying. We met for coffee a few days later. I told her everything. From the Thanksgiving moment to Nathan's silence, to the notes I found in his closet. Lena listened. She didn't interrupt. She didn't say, "That's awful," or "I can't believe it." She just looked me in the eye and said, "I believe you." It undid something in me. I didn't realize how starved I was for that simple sentence. She told me something then that made my stomach twist. "Sharon used to teach at my old high school," she said. Everyone knew she was a control freak. Her youngest had a breakdown sophomore year and missed 3 months of school. The rumor was he had panic attacks, but Sharon told people he was just being dramatic. "You're not the first person she's erased." Her youngest, that would be Nathan. I had never known that. I went home and sat with that. I thought back on the things Nathan never talked about. His twitchy way of brushing off personal questions. The way he flinched when voices got raised. He wasn't just ignoring my pain. He had been taught to ignore his own. It didn't excuse anything. But it added layers. The next week, I confronted Nathan. Not in a big fight. Just, honest. I asked him about what Lena told me. About his missing school. About Sharon's behavior back then. He didn't deny it. He didn't confirm it, either. He just stared at the floor and said, "We don't talk about that." Then he added, "You don't get to use my past to justify how you acted." That's when I realized he saw me as the problem now. Not just someone he couldn't help. Someone who was actively ruining things. It made what happened next even more disturbing. In July, I went to the pharmacy to pick up my prescription. When I gave them my name, the tech looked confused. She said, "It says this was canceled this morning." I hadn't canceled anything. I called the prescribing clinic. They said someone had called pretending to be me and requested a cancellation, claiming I no longer needed meds. I was shaking. I demanded the call log. After some pushing, I got the number. I ran it through a free reverse lookup tool. It was Greg's. I sat on the kitchen floor and felt sick. This wasn't just emotional abuse anymore. This was dangerous. Someone was messing with my health care. Pretending to be me. I reported it to the clinic. They flagged the account. I changed the pharmacy, the number on file, everything. I filed a police report, not because I thought they'd do much, but because I wanted a paper trail. Then I made another video. This one wasn't like the first. It wasn't emotional. It was calm, clear, and full of evidence. I listed what happened. I showed screenshots. I showed the call log, the reverse lookup, the handwriting in Nathan's notebook. I spoke like someone laying out a case. I didn't send it this time. I uploaded it to an unlisted link. I shared it with Lena and a lawyer. But I knew it was my backup weapon now. By mid-July, things in the apartment shifted again. Nathan stopped sleeping there altogether. I learned from a friend that he was crashing at Greg's full-time. Sharon posted a photo of a family brunch on Facebook. They were all there. Even Callie. My chair was empty. That photo made me feel nothing. Not sadness, not anger, just clarity. Then the twist I didn't expect. Late one night, around 1:30 a.m., there was a knock on the door. It was Nathan. He looked awful. Unshaven. Tired. Wet from rain. He said, "Can I come in?" I let him. I don't know why. Maybe to hear what lie he'd bring this time. He stood in the living room looking lost. Then he said, "Greg went through your laptop. He said you've been gathering stuff. Are you trying to ruin us?" I blinked. "Greg broke into my laptop?" I said. Nathan shrugged. "You left it out." "No, I didn't," I said. "It was locked and in my bag." He paused. Then, in the quietest voice, he said, "I think they're watching you. Greg has access to stuff. Cameras maybe." He joked about it. But now I'm not sure. The room went cold. "Are you part of this?" I asked. He didn't answer. That was answer enough. So now it's late July. I've covered my tracks. Changed my passwords, wiped old devices, and bought a cheap burner phone. I've moved some things to a storage unit Lena helped me rent. The apartment still looks lived in, but I'm almost ready to go. I'm also filing for a protection order soon. They think they're smart. They think I'm still scared. But every move they make only gives me more proof. And the more proof I have, the more I can do with it. They started this by mocking my pain. Now they're going to have to answer for it. I'm not done yet. Not even close. August came fast. The heat made everything feel tight, tense. I stopped sleeping. Nathan didn't come back after that night. He sent 2 short emails through the week, one asking if I'd consider mediation, another asking if I still wanted to work on things. I didn't answer. By then, I had already filed. Divorce. Restraining order. Cyber harassment report against Greg. The process was slow. But I wasn't rushing. I was building. Lena helped me collect everything, my journal entries, videos, emails, the fake pharmacy cancellation, even Nathan's little notebook. My lawyer built the narrative piece by piece. And then I sent a package. One brown padded envelope, addressed to Sharon. Inside was a letter. Plain, typed, and signed by me. In it, I told her what I knew. That her son Greg impersonated me. That Nathan tried to stage an intervention without ever talking to me like a human being. That I had proof, calls, logs, voice clips. That the lawyer had copies. That if she or any of her family ever tried to interfere with me again, I would go public. I attached a QR code to the unlisted video link, the one where I laid it all out. Then I mailed a second copy to Greg's office. He works in real estate. I used his business address. I didn't hear anything for a few days. Then the fallout started. Greg posted on Facebook, something vague about betrayal and legal misunderstandings. Sharon took down her account entirely. Callie DM'd Lena, begging her to ask me to take the video down. I hadn't even published it. But the best part was Nathan. He emailed me a week later, long and rambling. He was angry. Said I had blown everything up. Said I twisted the story. Then he wrote this. I just wish you had handled this privately. Now everyone thinks I'm like Greg. That made me laugh out loud. I didn't reply. Instead, I released the video. I changed the link to public. Posted it on a support forum that had gone viral a few months before. I didn't name them directly, but I didn't need to. Screenshots were clear. Dates were real. Voices were familiar. Enough people knew who it was. The internet did the rest. It hit hard. People started commenting. Sharing. Tagging others. Callie's mental health posts got flooded with "Was this you?" replies. Greg's office got calls. His Yelp page was flooded. He posted a fake apology, then deleted it. And Sharon? Someone emailed me a photo. She had signed up to speak at a local church event about family resilience. They pulled her from the schedule 2 days after the video dropped. But the revenge wasn't just public. It was personal. I sold the apartment. It was under both our names, but I fought to keep the right to sell first, and my lawyer won. Nathan got 30%. I got the rest. I used my share to move 2 states away. Quiet town. Small apartment. My name only. I blocked all of them. Changed my number. Changed my email. Left no forwarding address. Lena and I talk almost every day now. She calls me her sister in survival. I don't cry when I talk about what happened anymore. I speak clearly. Calmly. Like someone who finally made it through the fire. It's been 5 months since the video. Nathan tried one last thing. He sent a final email titled, "Closure." Said he wished I hadn't made such a big deal out of one comment. Said his family isn't perfect but they meant well. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my journal. The one I started right after Thanksgiving. The first page said, "Don't let them erase you." I wrote underneath it, they didn't. This is how it ended, they tried to shame me. They tried to silence me. They tried to label me as weak. But I made sure they could never forget me. That was the revenge. Not just the video. Not the fallout. The real revenge was surviving. Speaking. Being heard. And walking away without looking back. I'm free. And they'll never eat another holiday meal again without tasting what they did to me.